My name's Heather Hansen, and welcome to the webinar which aims to explain how Jigsaw RE can support the teaching of religion, values and ethics in Wales. So a little bit about me before we start. My specialism is RE, RS and now of course RVE. I was a secondary school teacher for almost 40 years and I was Director of Learning for Theology and Religious Studies at a large faith school in Swansea for 17 of those years. I left the classroom in July of 2023 and I was appointed to this role as a Regional Advisor in November 2023. I'm Vice Chair of our Swansea SAC for RVE or SACRA, and I have a Founding Fellowship from Oxford University and I am an REQM Assessor. Today's webinar aims to do the following: give you a brief overview of religion, values and ethics within the Humanities AOLE in the curriculum for Wales. Explain how Jigsaw inquiries are underpinned by the Humanities Statement of What Matters. Explain RVE in relation to the statutory RVE guidance. Demonstrate how Jigsaw RE inquiries can support curriculum design for RVE. And demonstrate further support for RVE through Jigsaw provision. Based on Professor Graham Donaldson's report Successful Futures 2015, which had been commissioned by the Welsh Government, the Curriculum for Wales framework was published on the 20th of January 2020. The curriculum is underpinned by 4 core purposes. By the age of 16, learners in Wales should be 1. Ambitious, capable learners, encouraged to engage in lifelong learning. 2. Enterprising, creative contributors, prepared to actively contribute to life and work. 3. Ethical, informed citizens, equipped to engage with Wales and the wider world. And 4. Healthy, confident individuals ready to live fulfilling, valued lives. So, how does Jigsaw RE support these 4 core purposes? To become ambitious, capable learners, ready to learn throughout their lives, Jigsaw RE empowers learners to be critical thinkers and reflect on their learning's impact on their own lives and those of others. The inquiry-based skills taught are transferable across ages. Teachers can adapt lessons for deeper thinking, and lessons are supported by detailed information and religious texts to enhance learning. To become enterprising, creative contributors ready to play a full part in life and work, Jigsaw RE encourages children to research and answer inquiry questions creatively. Lessons allow non-writing expression, fostering spiritual, moral and holistic growth through art, design, technology, speaking, listening, writing or drama. By promoting empathy, it helps break societal barriers, fostering understanding and inclusivity among different religions and worldviews. To become ethical, informed citizens of Wales and the world, Jigsaw RE's inquiry approach teaches learners aged 3 to 11 to explore ethical values and big questions from various religions and worldviews. The cyclical topics enhance understanding and maturity. Lessons can be tailored to local demographics, fostering knowledge of heritage, Cynefin, and inclusivity. Editable slides enable personalised learning. To become healthy, confident individuals ready to lead fulfilling lives as valued members of society, Jigsaw RE helps children examine and reinforce their beliefs and values, fostering mental, emotional, and spiritual development. By embedding critical thinking, empathy, and personal values, it prepares them to lead fulfilling lives and benefit their communities. Safe spaces for reflection boost confidence in speaking and listening skills. The curriculum for Wales 3 to 16 is organised into areas of learning and experience that establish the breadth of the curriculum. These areas should provide rich context for developing the 4 curriculum purposes. Be internally coherent, employ distinctive ways of thinking, and have an identifiable core of disciplinary or instrumental knowledge. They are expressive arts, health and well-being, humanities, languages, literacy and communication, mathematics and numeracy, and science and technology. This humanities is the AOLE where RVE sits alongside of history, geography, business studies and social studies. The name change from Religious Education, or RE, to Religion, Values and Ethics, RVE, reflects Wales's curriculum reforms and was officially adopted in 2022. This broader and inclusive name incorporates non-religious worldviews, moral values and ethical considerations, ensuring representation for all learners. RVE emphasises critical thinking, cultural awareness and respectful dialogue, preparing learners to navigate diverse perspectives in modern society. By aligning with the new curriculum's focus on holistic and informed citizenship, the name highlights its expanded scope. Underpinning the curriculum design for the humanities area of learning experience are the mandatory statements of what matters. These apply to the curriculum design for RVE in Wales. They must explicitly underpin programmes of study in RVE. They are as follows: inquiry, exploration and investigation inspire curiosity about the world, its past, present and future. Jigsaw RE's inquiry-based 4-step model fosters curiosity by challenging learners with open-ended questions, encouraging critical thinking and reflection. Learners investigate religions and worldviews, utilise creative skills, revisit conclusions, and express their insights. This approach helps learners develop informed beliefs, morals, and a deeper understanding of the world and themselves. Events and human experiences are complex and are perceived, interpreted, and represented in different ways. By exploring concepts like commitment through various religions and worldviews, learners critically analyse diverse perspectives and develop their own. The 4-step model emphasises context, fostering understanding of local and global religious heritage. Reflection promotes recognition of different views, highlighting both the historical significance of religions and their contemporary relevance to believers. Our natural world is diverse and dynamic, influenced by processes and human actions. Religion, values and ethics should evoke awe and wonder, enhancing learners' spiritual development and sense of belonging, or cynefin. Through an inquiry approach, learners explore historical and present-day religious contexts, fostering curiosity, understanding of change, and global interconnection. Topics like creation encourage reflection on environmental impact and shared human experiences. Human societies are complex and diverse and shaped by human actions and beliefs. Studying key themes like commitment and belonging across religions and religious and worldviews helps learners reflect on their beliefs and identity, fostering emotional and spiritual growth. Contextual inquiry highlights historical and modern practices, encouraging empathy and understanding of societal diversity, while linking past influences to contemporary religious relevance. Informed, self-aware citizens engage with challenges and opportunities that face humanity and are able to take considered and ethical action. Jigsaw RE promotes informed citizenship by fostering understanding of diverse beliefs and encouraging learners to critically reflect on their values. Through questioning, they become self-aware, empathetic, and active contributors to inclusive societies. Step 3 in the 4-step approach, focus on justifying responses, equips learners to engage thoughtfully with their communities and address societal challenges. The RVE guidance gives sub-lenses as suggestions for learning journeys which can be used to design the RVE curriculum. Unlike the statements of what matters, they're not mandatory, but are helpful in thinking about the ways in which religion, values and ethics can be explored. Another consideration is Cynefin, literally translated as habitat, and is identified within the Welsh Government's curriculum framework as a narrative that should thread through all of the learning experiences that learners are provided with. Cynefin is not just a place in a geographical sense, but a place of cultural, social and historical significance, which has shaped and continues to shape the community that inhabits it. There are many rich opportunities to weave the Cynefin thread into a humanities RVE curriculum, and certainly into the inquiries that Jigsaw RE provides. The RVE guidance sets out examples of learning journeys which are underpinned by humanities statements of what matters. The learning journeys are not prescriptive but suggestive. What is mandatory is the fact that any learning journey must be underpinned by the statements of what matters. So in order to demonstrate that the inquiries are underpinned by the humanities statements of what matters, we have produced mapping documents which can be found on the portal. This is an example of a mapping document showing the inquiry as a learning journey underpinned by the statements of what matters and identifying the sub-lenses through which the inquiry can be viewed. It also gives suggestions for curricular enrichment by suggesting a link to Cynefin, as well as pinpointing age-related progression steps for this inquiry. In the four-step inquiry, we can see that personal, substantive and disciplinary forms of knowledge are explored, indicated through the colour coding of green, blue and red. In this slide, we can see an example of the evidence that's within the inquiry showing how the statements of what matters are supported by the inquiry. As you can see, there's plenty of evidence within each of the pieces that demonstrates how the statements of what matters are supported. Likewise, there's plenty of evidence within Jigsaw RE to show that the programme supports cross-curricular and integral skills, and from observations within schools, I've witnessed this in practice. These are just a few pictures showing the different skills that I've witnessed in schools. Collating ideas which encourage oracy, making connections through metacognition, skills of analysis encouraged through categorization activities, literacy developed through extended writing tasks, numeracy supported through gathering data, tally charts and sequencing. It may be helpful when monitoring progress of learners to use the language of the statements of what matters when you do book locks or are evidencing learning in some other way. I have had the privilege of being involved in book locks in schools, as well as work being sent to me as examples of learning. The work in the last slide was from an inquiry which focused on facilitating discussion about what a role model is and enabled a range of contributors to be considered, ranging from Albert Einstein, Charles Darwin to Alice Roberts. And this facilitated the understanding of how factors in the past and present have shaped communities. The inquiry had facilitated the children's experience of a range of stimuli, and they had had opportunities to participate in the inquiry both collaboratively and with growing independence. Their work demonstrated that they could understand key points about humanism and that they'd written mature and carefully considered reflections on quotes from a range of humanists showing that they could form, express and discuss their own opinions on a range of issues after considering evidence and the views of others. In considering role models, children were able to understand that there are a range of factors that influence people's behaviour, actions and decisions, and could identify who influenced their own lives. It was clear from their considerations of scientists such as Einstein, Darwin and Roberts that they could describe how people and the natural world may impact on each other. And it was pleasing to see that the opportunity for cross-curricular skills to be used was taken by introducing the opportunity for a class tally chart. So before we look at RVE in a little bit more depth, just a little bit about what Jigsaw RVE is. So Jigsaw RVE is a 4-step inquiry method, and the key question for each inquiry is such that it demands an answer that weighs up evidence and reaches a conclusion based on this. This necessitates children using their subject knowledge and applying it to the inquiry question, rather than this knowledge being an end in itself. Jigsaw RVE focuses on critical thinking skills, on personal reflection into the child's own thoughts and feelings, on growing subject knowledge and nurturing spiritual development, and uses the following 4-step model. So each inquiry will have 6 pieces, but 4 steps. The inquiries also take into account exploration of different types of knowledge: personal, substantive, and disciplinary. You can see that they're colour-coded: green for personal, blue for substantive, and red for disciplinary. Piece 1 is a way into the inquiry and involves a child-centred approach by focusing on prior understanding or knowledge and a bridge concept. Pieces 2, 3, and 4 focus on facilitating the substantive knowledge needed to enable critical and evaluative thinking about the inquiry. Piece 5 involves critical thinking about the question and opinion forming. And Piece 6 enables an expression of personal development to unfold, going back to reflecting on the inquiry and expressing what has been learned. So each piece follows a particular structure. In designing the pieces, we imagine that children are asking the teacher to improve their social skills to better enable collaborative learning and reactivate prior learning through connecting their learning. So in the Connect Our Learning part of the lesson, which might be a quiz, a game, or a jigsaw circle, it's designed to be fun and inclusive and to build and maximise social skills. Connect Our Learning engenders positive relationships and enhances collaborative learning. It sets the atmosphere at the beginning of each Jigsaw RVE piece and ensures that any relevant prior learning has been revisited and reactivated by the sharing of ideas and responses. The next part, Open My Mind, helps the brain to focus on specific learning intentions using appropriate hooks and engagement strategies. The reticular activating system of the brain filters the many stimuli entering the child's mind at any given time. It is designed only to allow in that which is significant. Therefore, it's important to engage this system with the most important aspects of learning intended for each piece. If we do this well, it will enable children to filter out activity around them, not significant to this learning intention, and thereby improving concentration and learning. Stimuli used in the Jigsaw RVE include pictures and questions to ensure that the children begin the next section of the piece already thinking about and focused on the learning that's to take place. Next we have Tell Me or Show Me, and this part of the piece initiates new learning. This section of the piece is used to introduce new information, concepts and skills using a range of teaching approaches and activities. It includes a pause point to think about the learning, ask questions, etc. before moving on. Next we have Let Me Learn, which facilitates learning activities to reinforce the new learning. Following Piaget's learning model, after receiving new information, concepts, children need to manipulate, use and play with that information in order for it to make sense to them and for them to accommodate it into their existing learning. This also ensures that the learning can be embedded into the longer-term memory, as this learning will be revisited later, thus lessening cognitive load. The Help Me Reflect part of the piece supports them in reflecting on their learning and personal development. Using these child-centred headings for the sections of every piece is very significant. It encourages teachers to see their learners as whole children who want and deserve to learn. Throughout Jigsaw RVE, children are encouraged to reflect on their learning experiences and their progress. And by reflecting, children can process and evaluate what they have learned, which enables them to consolidate and apply their learning. They are also asked to stop and become aware of their thoughts and feelings in any given moment. In pause points, we can have the owl pictured here, and thus developing a mindful approach and allowing opportunity to develop their own beliefs and spirituality. Each piece ends with a thank you, and it should always include the teacher praising the children for their effort, positive attitude and achievement, as well as giving 1 or 2 sentences to summarise the key learning points for that piece. The owl thanks the children on the last slide of every piece. So now we come to Jigsaw RVE and RVE. RVE, or Religion, Values and Ethics, is a statutory requirement in the curriculum for Wales for all learners from the age of 3 to 16. The RVE guidance is statutory and published under Section 71 of the Curriculum and Assessment Wales Act. The Act and is designed to assist those responsible under the Act for designing the RVE syllabus as part of the school curriculum. The guidance states that each school will need to decide its own approach to curriculum design in the humanities area and how RVE best works within it. For example, curriculum design can be integrated, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, or disciplinary. This approach should be evaluated regularly in line with the Curriculum for Wales framework guidance. So in addition to the RVE guidance, the school needs to take into account the locally agreed syllabus. Locally agreed syllabi are incredibly important in ensuring RVE is taught for each school's context and cohort. Jigsaw RVE has been developed to support teachers in delivering their locally agreed syllabus, which is their statutory responsibility. In addition to following the RVE guidance, you must pay regard to the locally agreed syllabus in your area. Jigsaw RVE is a comprehensive and flexible resource to help you do that, and we have advisors on hand, like myself, which will help with that. So what do we mean by religion, values and ethics? Well, religion is a system of beliefs, practices and values centered around questions of existence, purpose and the nature of the universe. It often involves worship of a higher power or deity, rituals, moral codes and a sense of community amongst its followers. Values are the principles and beliefs that reflect what is important to us and help shape our actions and attitudes. For example, as values such as honesty, respect, responsibility, compassion, and fairness. Ethics refers to the principles and values that guide human behaviour, helping us decide what's right and wrong and what actions we should take based on our ethical standing. So in effect, they are values in action. So let's take an example from Christianity. So the majority of Christian followers accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Saviour. The Bible gives guidance with regards to teachings. Beliefs are celebrated in festivals such as Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, Lent, Easter, Ascension and Pentecost. And places of worship include churches, pilgrimage sites, etc. Values then held by Christians could involve agape love for God and others, charity, acts of giving and helping those in need are highly valued, humility, recognizing one's own limitations and the need for God's grace is important. Forgiveness, being prepared to let go of hurts caused by others, and justice, having a sense of fair treatment. So how are these put in practice? Well, if you look at agapeic love, then putting God first in one's life, showing compassion and kindness to others is that value in action. Charity, giving to others in a material or emotional sense, is that value in action. Humility, treating others with respect and not placing oneself above others, is that value in action. Forgiveness, by actively seeking reconciliation with those who have hurt you, puts that value into action. It's the way that you behave. Justice, standing up for the oppressed and marginalised through what you do, is that action. That's your ethical action. That's what you do to put that value in action. And of course, that also applies to non-religious philosophical views. So knowing about a non-religious philosophical view such as humanism would be important. Humanism holds at its core a belief in reason, questioning and science. Humanists approach life by focusing on human achievement, scientific discoveries and personal autonomy. Values that humanists have would be, for example, the golden rule: treat other people as you would like them to treat you. Happiness, scientific discovery and reason, freedom, individuality, responsibility, empathy, human rights, etc. And then those values in action would then be looking at the moral choices that humanists would make: treat humans and other living things ethically, fairly and positively, choose to live one's life in a way that personally makes you feel happy, and also consider the happiness of others. Use science and your personal understanding to make sense of the world and how you take care of it. How do you act on that? And then do not cause harm to other living beings. Celebration of human achievements. Take personal responsibility for our actions. So humanists also respect people's right to hold their own beliefs, and therefore will be respectful of people with religious beliefs in the most part. So when we look at what, the why and the how, that's when we're looking at the religion or worldview, the values and the ethics. Of course, schools have subsidiarity in their own curriculum design, and therefore they will need to decide their own approach to curriculum design and how RVE fits best within the humanities area. And as we said earlier, this approach must be evaluated regularly, but can take many different forms. It can be integrated, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, or disciplinary, but it must be evaluated regularly in line with the Curriculum for Wales framework guidance. So what does the guidance actually state then? Well, the Act inserts a new Wales-only section 375A into the Education Act 1996. Section 375A of the 1996 Act provides that a local authority must adopt an agreed syllabi for its area, which must reflect the fact that the religious traditions in Wales are in the main Christian, while taking into account of the teaching and practices of other principal religions represented in Wales, and this is really important, must also reflect the fact that a range of non-religious philosophical convictions are held in Wales. So with regards to the RVE guidance and Jigsaw RVE, the overall planning of Jigsaw RVE gives Christianity a broader platform whilst ensuring that a choice of religious traditions or worldviews are able to be studied. Alongside of this, and explores humanism and ethical veganism as non-religious philosophical convictions. We're also open as a Jigsaw RVE team to further developing what might be needed within Wales too. So these next three words are really important with regards to teaching religion, values and ethics. Religion, values and ethics education needs to be objective, critical and pluralistic to ensure fairness, inclusivity and deeper understanding. And here's why these principles are essential. Objectivity. By being neutral, education avoids bias or favouritism towards any single religion or worldview. This creates an environment where all perspectives are respected, making it accessible to learners of diverse backgrounds and beliefs. Critical thinking. This encourages learners to critically analyse beliefs, values and ethical dilemmas, and equips them with essential skills to assess evidence, question assumptions and form well-reasoned opinions. This prepares them to navigate complex social and moral issues. Pluralism. A pluralistic approach exposes learners to multiple religions or worldviews, and this not only broadens their understanding, but promotes empathy and mutual respect, which are vital for living in a multicultural and interconnected society. These principles empower learners to engage thoughtfully with their own beliefs and values while fostering open-mindedness and tolerance towards others. So as we said earlier, RVE needs to be objective, critical and pluralistic. The Act provisions ensure that RVE is mandatory and that all children in all maintained schools and settings have access to pluralistic RVE. No child can be withdrawn from RVE in Wales. Jigsaw RVE is an inquiry-based learning approach and ensures a critical approach and objective and pluralistic provision, as listed below. In Jigsaw RVE, we are treating all the worldviews studied as equally valid and valuable. Hence, we refer to both religious and non-religious standpoints as worldviews, so as not to imply preference or differentiate unfairly. And as you can see, there are a plethora of worldviews to choose from in the Jigsaw RVE programme, including Baha'i, Buddhism, Christianity, ethical veganism, humanism, Islam, Judaism, Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, and Sikhi. There are over 90 half-term inquiries from nursery all the way through to year 6. Nursery and reception have 6 fixed inquiries to follow, they sound similar to each other, but they are different in content. And for subsequent phases, Christianity is taught in every year group, with Christmas and Easter given deeper investigation in each year, developing the learning in a progressive way, which is in line with descriptors of learning and progression steps in the curriculum for Wales. There are 3 other inquiries in each 2-year age span for Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, and Sikhi. Each 2-year age span phase has a unit in Baha'i, humanism, and ethical veganism. So in developing the inquiries round table conversations that have happened with representatives of each religion to ensure the accuracy of what is being taught and that this comes from the lived experience of that worldview. For example, Hinduism is referred to as Sanatana Dharma in Jigsaw RVE. There are different approaches to RVE as part of the humanities AOLE. It can be taught thematically across the AOLE or standalone in a disciplinary fashion. The school's curriculum design will be at the heart of what is taught, and Jigsaw RVE can help with that design. In faith schools, the curriculum designed by the school must demonstrate that it has regard for the agreed syllabus of the local authority and or for the RVE guidance. So how to make decisions about what to teach? Well, a good starting point is to look at the Office for National Statistics census demographic for your school. This should help decide which worldviews to focus on. Then ensure that you are making sure that RVE is objective, critical and pluralistic, including non-religious philosophical worldviews. It's also important to make sure that RVE reflects the fact that in Wales, Christianity is the main religious tradition followed. So the statistics that it was in the previous slide, if we were looking at those statistics for that school, then we would be deciding on which religious or non-religious worldviews to teach. So in the case of that previous school, these following worldviews were recommended: Christianity, Islam as Abrahamic faiths, Buddhism and Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism as Dharmic faiths, and humanism and ethical veganism as non-religious philosophical convictions. So schools have approached the curriculum design for RVE in a number of ways, and I'm just going to focus on a few that I've been helping with. For example, one school has designed their curriculum thematically and inquiries have been chosen to fit the theme. Here we have people, values and culture. followed by the world of work and enterprise, with some emphasis on Cynefin. The summer term focused on Our Wondrous World, given an opportunity to incorporate non-religious philosophical worldviews. A different school wanted a standalone approach which demonstrated progression and ensured that there was enough scope to ensure that Christianity was well represented. One school shared with me their long-term planning in its entirety, and I worked to ensure that inquiries fitted holistically, given a rationale for those particular choices. Jigsaw RVE is designed to foster self-awareness and critical reflection in learners by encouraging inquiry and questioning. This helps learners develop their beliefs, values and attitudes, enabling them to make informed decisions and actively engage with their communities and Welsh society. The programme incorporates the principles of progression, which promote increased breadth and depth of knowledge through repeated exploration of themes across different religions and worldviews. This approach builds connections and a coherent understanding over time. Jigsaw RVE follows a four-step inquiry model, as we said earlier, progressing from personal reflection to focused study on others' perspectives. It emphasises critical thinking, evidence-based reasoning, and the ability to resolve conflicting accounts. The spiral approach allows students to transfer and connect new and prior learning effectively. Additionally, the programme supports skill development in asking questions, independent investigation, and collaboration through discussions. Teachers are encouraged to adopt a discursive teaching style to enhance oracy and listening skills. Assessment is integrated within the framework and aligns with progression steps, offering flexibility to schools. For more details, schools can access assessment materials via Jigsaw's RVE website. So, you're probably aware that in Wales assessment is done in different ways. So how do you assess in school? My thinking on this is that you could use the mapping documents which are relevant to Wales and include the descriptors of learning. The one above is an example of progression steps and how through the inquiries a learner may demonstrate whether they are working towards, at or below the progression step. If working above the progression step, they may demonstrate some aspects of the next progression step. Although progression steps can be age-related, of course, we are not limiting learners. And so it would be great to have that discussion with Welsh teachers on how we actually can see assessment and in action. So what additional support do we have then with Jigsaw RVE? It's so important as an RVE lead to be able to ensure that you're monitoring how well you're facilitating RVE provision in school. These audit tools, which are on the website, will help you assess RVE provision and formulate development plans for provision and enable you to give support through listening to teachers and learners. Apart from giving help with long-term planning, I run networking events each term, and this gives the opportunity for teachers to meet each other, share ideas about good practice and discuss pitfalls. We meet through Teams at the moment, but would welcome the opportunity for more localised events. At Jigsaw, we're continuously looking at ways in which we can support with enhancing your RVE teaching, and our portal has a wide range of webinars that can help with CPD. If you have teachers with other specialisms, there's a webinar for each of the worldview that Jigsaw offers. We also offer further support through webinars about enrichment, and you can explore those on the website. Of course, an added asset is the fact that Jigsaw RVE provides regional advisors with RE specialisms. Our advisors are approachable and on hand to help with questions and planning, as well as having an overall Jigsaw mentor to help you with your questions. And further support comes from our assemblies, which are also linked to PSC if you're a PSC school. And this will help you to fulfil your statutory obligation to provide daily acts of collective worship. Please feel free to email me personally about any RVE related questions. I'm always willing and ready to help. I would be very grateful if you could fill in the following feedback form. So that just leaves me to say diolch yn fawr iawn am wrando. Thank you very much for listening. Hwyl fawr and I hope you enjoy using Jigsaw to help with your RVE planning. Hwyl.